Hello, and welcome to Tripoli Bank's Home Mortgage Disclosure Act Regulation C training. This training is designed to teach our lending department everything they need to know about the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act and Tripoli Bank's policies to maintain adherence. The Home Mortgage Disclosure Act, or HMDA, was enacted by Congress in 1975 in response to public concern over credit shortages in certain urban neighborhoods. Regulation C requires lending institutions to report public loan data. Reported data helps determine whether financial institutions are serving the housing credit needs of the neighborhoods and communities in which they are located. This data can help identify discriminatory lending patterns and help regulators enforce anti-discrimination laws. The data also helps public officials target investments to attract private investment to areas where it is needed. Tripoli Bank's policy is to ensure proper adherence to the provisions and intent of Regulation C. All covered loan transactions must be reported to the proper federal agencies for their compilation and use. This information will be utilized by the bank to help assess its lending pattern of home mortgage-related credit transactions and assist in efforts to support the bank's non-discrimination policy. Not all transactions are covered by HMDA regulations. A transaction is only reportable if it is an application, origination, or a purchase of a covered loan. Factors that lenders need to consider when determining whether a loan is covered by HMDA reporting requirements are whether the loan is secured by a dwelling and the purpose of the loan. All reportable transactions must be recorded within 30 calendar days after the end of the calendar quarter in which final action is taken. This includes origination or purchase of a covered loan, as well as denial or withdrawal of a covered application. An application or loan is only covered by HMDA if it is secured by a lien on a dwelling. A dwelling is any structure used for residential purposes, including single-family structures and multifamily residences. Lenders must report the total number of residential units contained in any dwellings used as collateral for a transaction. Manufactured home communities are included in this definition of multifamily dwellings. There is no requirement that a structure be attached to a real property, nor that it be the applicant or borrower's residence. Structures that fit this definition, but which are used exclusively for commercial purposes, are not considered dwellings. However, if the property is used for both residential and commercial purposes, it is considered a dwelling if its primary use is residential. Transitory residences are not considered dwellings. This includes RVs, boats, campers, travel trailers, floating homes, houseboats, or mobile homes built prior to 1976. Multi-unit transitory structures such as hotels, college dorms, or recreational vehicle parks are also not considered dwellings. Next, the lender must determine if the loan's purpose makes it reportable. If the loan is for business or commercial purposes, it is only covered by HMDA if the intended purpose is, in whole or in part, for a home purchase, home improvement, or refinancing, including cash-out refinancing. Loans whose primary purpose is agricultural are not covered by HMDA. All consumer loans secured by a dwelling that are not excluded by the aforementioned rules are covered by HMDA, and their purpose is reported as other. If a loan is being opened for multiple purposes, there is an order of priority for how the loan is reported in the Loan Application Register, or LAR. Home purchase trumps all other purposes, refinancing or cash-out refinancing trumps home improvement, and home improvement trumps other. A home purchase loan is a closed-end mortgage loan that is for the purpose, in whole or in part, of purchasing a dwelling. Refinancing is a closed-end mortgage loan in which a new dwelling-secured debt obligation satisfies and replaces an existing dwelling-secured debt obligation by the same borrower. A home improvement loan is a closed-end mortgage loan that is for the purpose, in whole or in part, of repairing, rehabilitating, remodeling, or improving a dwelling or the property on which it is located. A loan or application that qualifies for HMDA reporting but is not covered by any of these purposes should be reported as other. Next, the lender needs to determine if the transaction involves an extension of credit and if any exclusions apply to the transaction. If the applicant or borrower is being offered credit pursuant to a new debt obligation, the transaction is covered by HMDA. There are several reasons a transaction would be exempt from HMDA reporting, including if the loan was originated or purchased by the bank acting in a fiduciary capacity, if the loan is secured by a lien on unimproved land, unless the lender knows the proceeds of the loan will be used to build a dwelling within 2 years. If the loan is for temporary financing, such as bridge or construction loans. It is important to note that financing is not temporary simply because it is short-term. A loan is also exempt from HMDA reporting if the loan is for the purchase of an interest in a pool of otherwise covered loans, such as mortgage participation certificates, mortgage-backed securities, or real estate mortgage investment conduits, or if the loan is for a total dollar amount less than $500. Lenders are required to report applicants' demographic information as part of the HMDA reporting process. This information is recorded on the HMDA demographic information form. Lenders must make an effort to collect this information from the applicant regardless of how an application is submitted, but they cannot require applicants to provide this information. During face-to-face applications, applicants should be presented with the demographic information form. If an applicant declines to provide the information during a face-to-face meeting, lenders are then allowed to identify race and ethnicity by visual observation or surname of the applicant. For mail, telephone, and internet applications, if the applicant selects "I do not wish to provide" on their application form, lenders should not attempt to identify this information and should instead report information not provided by applicant in mail, internet, or telephone application. If the applicant does not select this option and later meets in person to complete the transaction, the lender can present the applicant with the demographic information form. If the applicant declines again, then the lender is allowed to identify the applicant by visual observation or surname. Lenders must always report the method used to collect an applicant or borrower's demographic information by completing the final section of the HMDA demographic information form. How HMDA data is collected differs for consumer and commercial loan officers. Consumer loan officers should print out a HMDA loan application register, or LAR, with all relevant data points recorded. This reference chart for data that needs to be collected for the HMDA LAR can be found in the New Tripoli Bank Loan Department shared drive. The reference chart contains descriptions, filing instructions, and relevant Regulation C references for each reportable data point. Instead of printing a copy of the LAR, commercial loan officers need to fill out the HMDA data collection worksheet, entering as much information into the worksheet as possible. The Loan Operations Department is responsible for ensuring all applicable loan transactions are listed on the LAR. Each loan officer is responsible for determining if a loan request is applicable to HMDA requirements. Loan officers are also required to provide this information to the Loan Operations Department on all applicable transactions, regardless of final action taken, so that all loan applications, including denied, canceled, and withdrawn requests, can be listed properly on the LAR. Government monitoring information is gathered via the Uniform Residential Loan Application, or for commercial loans, on a government monitoring form. On a quarterly basis, the loan processing manager will test check both funded loan reports and denied, canceled, or withdrawn loan files to ensure all reportable transactions have been listed. The Loan Processing Manager is responsible for uploading the data to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB, via the HMDA platform. The bank must submit all required data to the Bureau via the Bureau's automated process no later than March 1st of the calendar year after the data is compiled. As part of the submission process, the data must be edited and all errors corrected. Once the report has been cleared of all errors, the compliance officer or senior management will certify the report to complete the process. The bank should retain a copy of this information in its records for at least 3 years. The bank is required to post a general notice about the availability of its HMDA data and must provide the location of these posted statements upon request for inspection and copying. Bank staff will be periodically reminded of the disclosure requirements and to be alert for public requests for this data. In all instances, these notices are to be displayed in the lobby of all of our bank's branch offices. If you have any questions about HMDA regulations, you can ask our loan processing manager, Gene Miller, or our compliance officer, Ann Bavaria, or visit the CFPB's website for more information about these regulations. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video so you can help keep our bank compliant with the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act.